Parley. This is your host, Shanusha. And today I will be welcoming Parley, our new guest. But before that, I want to talk to you about some habits as a writers that you should have or that I particularly follow. I write every single day. I write blog articles, I write my book. I'm also writing a book and I do case studies. In case studies, I actually analyze what are the writing techniques and marketing strategy employed by other authors. So those things really help me. Habits are again very important, and if you are not able to form a habit, I think the best book for you is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And if you're very much fond of James Clear, I also have published a case study called Writing Techniques and Marketing Strategies of James Clear. It's available at Amazon at a very nominal price. Please check it out. Now, today's guest is our Nilshree. Nilshree Yelulkar is a very, very cool woman. She has published 7 books already, and one of them some of them are anthology, some of them are fiction. There's also non-fiction. So she's kind of kind of writing in every genre. So let's welcome her. Nilashree, could you please join in? So hi Nilashree, how are you? Welcome to Prose Parley episode 5, and I'm really very happy to have you. So could you just tell me what kind of books you have written and what activities you do?
Yes, sure. Thank you for having me here, Shanu, today. I'm really happy and I look forward to the conversation. I am an author of 7 published books, and 4 of them are anthologies. 3 of them are written all by myself. So, these are about the books. Most of them are non-fiction, some of them are narrative non-fiction, which makes it not too heavy, but a tint of storytelling comes into narrative non-fiction, so it does not become all gyan sort of book.
Yes.
And the latest one released in March 2024, 21st of March, which is a collection of 100 poems. The title of the book is Rapture, and it is an anthology by 10 poets, and all of us have fixed 10 prompts, and each poet has written 10 poems on 10 prompts, so that makes it 100.
Wow. So that Hear Me Out wala book you're talking about?
No, this is Rhyme Rapture. Hear Me Out came out in 2020. And apart from books, I also lead an e-magazine, a quarterly e-magazine, which is named Authropod, and it is available to read for free on our website. Also, we host a podcast wherein we invite authors and we get to know the process behind, it's like behind the scenes of writing a book. So it's not majorly about the book, but what was the process of writing throughout the book.
Yes. You have written a lots of books, there are like 7 books you have already published. All of them are self-published, right?
Yes, I had a very bad experience with my debut book, which made me stick to self-publishing. And, I was very new to this whole field of books and publishing. I had read books, but then the process of making it was very new. So for the first time, I thought to go with a publisher, which was not a very known publisher. And at that time, I was not financially independent, so I did not want to give my husband's pocket a big hole. So I thought of going for a budget-friendly, kind of publisher. But then, as soon as the book was published, the publisher vanished. I mean, there were sales that were happening. The publisher was getting royalty and everything, but I did not get any communication or any number from them, wherein the people used to send pictures, and I got reviews also on Amazon. So there was a proof that they bought it, but then till the end, I did not get anything out of it. And also, not only money was the sole reason to cancel that vanity publishing contract. There was no transparency in communication. So in December, I submitted my manuscript, and in February, one day, suddenly morning, I get a message: your book is published and is now available on Amazon. So between these 2 months, there was nothing, no communication, and suddenly one day you come and tell me that your book is published. So I trust in transparency in communication. That has to
Exactly.
be there. Even if money, money is still secondary for me, but there was no transparency in communication. And that time I decided, okay, I want to take the control of whatever I write and however I publish.
Yes.
So it's not going to be anybody else. I have to be a self-published author. That's it.
That's experience. Now you're worried about it. And there has to be a contract also. When traditionally publisher publish your book, they actually ask you 100 questions. So when actually I was applying to the traditional publishers, I mean, I was sending my manuscript. I saw that they want so much of information. Like if I talk about JCO, they also need your complete plan, your competitive metrics, means your book as compared to others already present in the market and
Yeah.
renowned authors. So they asked so much, and when I was, and at that time I was like, why the hell are they asking so much question? But now I'm realizing that okay, of course, if they are asking means they are genuinely interested. So that is one thing
Yes, yes.
because someone also have to send a contract. You cannot simply publish anyone's work. So what did you do? Did you get your book back or did you communicate it something? Did you do anything about it?
I'm a person who will always try to keep good terms with the other person. So I try, whoever there was one publishing manager allotted to me for my particular book. But then I used to message her, I used to call her. So she used to receive calls and she used to politely say something, and she used to kill time. But after
Yeah.
3 months, I realized she's just वो सब घुमा रही है मुझे. There's no end to, there's no end resolution that I was getting. So
Mm-hmm.
one day मैं अपने वाली पे उतर गई फिर and I said कि was cancel my contract. I don't want the book to be with you. So
Mm-hmm.
they said then ISBN will go. I said, see, I'm not scared of that. And by the time in that 1 year, I already published 3 books, self-published 3 books. So who are
Wow.
you showing that fear to? I know how to get an ISBN. I know how to get my book listed on Amazon, and
Mm.
there's no negative impact because I trust my content. It will do good. And fortunately, that book, which it did not do so well in that 1 year, but when I displayed it at Pune Book Fair, it was sold out.
Wow.
So that means there was no problem with the content. It was the problem at the other end.
Yes. Yeah, so that's why you stick to. You wrote 7 books, and what is the inspiration? I mean, how do you keep writing? All these are non-fictions, apart from the two of them that are poetry, right?
Yes, yes.
So, what
So
is
the
your inspiration
inspiration.
behind, and when did you first, kind of thought that no, I want to publish my work, and can kind of getting recognized as an author?
So there was a time after my maternity, during my maternity, that I lost a lot of confidence. So writing was something that was helping me get it back slowly. And when I started posting it publicly on my Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
it was somebody else who told me that this is a bookish content and you should properly format it and put it in a book. And that time I had laughed, okay, please don't make joke of, this is such a simple writing, how can it go in a book? But then it took me 3 years to convince myself, okay, if there are authors similar like me, there is no fear, there's no harm in at least trying. And that one book, my debut book, taught me a lot of experiences. After that, anthologies came into picture. I involved fellow authors and then made anthologies. Um, there is one book I have written I would like to talk about particularly. It's Whispers of Budgie, and
Hmm.
it's a self-help book for homemakers. So I was in a phase where I needed a self-help book being a homemaker. And
Yes.
when I was searching for one, I reached out to readers who are avid readers, to recommend some book. And they were laughing, why does a homemaker need a self-help book? I said, why not? Why not? There are times when a homemaker also has to be reminded that she needs to draw boundaries. She
Yes.
needs to clearly set expectations. So these
Right.
are the things that I have, as I mentioned earlier, that I have narrated through a story, and the character's name is Anamika. I've deliberately named her that because a homemaker never gets her due credit. So that is the
Yeah.
reason why I have named her Anamika. And there are 13 incidents from her daily life that helps a homemaker to stay sane while she's juggling through all the responsibilities that she has.
Wow, that's really nice. So your life itself is kind of inspiration to write book, no? And that's for everyone. You our own events, the life events that happens in our own life becomes the inspiration for our next book. This is really great to.
Right.
So I want to also talk about Anthology. How is your experience? Because lot of I get lot of DMs on Instagram as well as on WhatsApp that we are writing an anthology. Please, are you interested? And this is the amount to kind of get into it. And constantly those messages are there. I have, however, worked for 2 to 3 anthologies only because I don't know. I have never seen anyone promoting that book after it's getting published, and no one ever talking about the authors. Any author, not me. Any author who are talking about those authors as well. So I want to know because you have written for another. Is it? Do you have a similar experience?
Yes, good that you asked. Now I'll tell you why I compiled my first anthology. So in the month of September in 2020, I had submitted some articles for an anthology, and as you said, there was a fees for it. I paid, and then I waited for 6 months. There was no update.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, does it, that share auto concept wherein if they do not have ample passengers, they do not take that rickshaw forward.
Mm.
They keep calling, okay, come, sit in, we have seats available. So that guy was doing that thing, and that WhatsApp group used to be like buzzed with messages, okay, we still want contributors. There were already 500 people into it. I was like, why? I mean, 6 months, he already has so many contributions. Why isn't he publishing? Does it really take that much time? So what I did is with my first anthology, which is stamped, sealed but unsent. In the month of February, when I gave up on that guy, I don't even know if that book has come out or not. But I reached out to my known people, only to those who I personally know. And I know they will contribute without a question. So
Yeah.
these 27 people were readily said a yes, okay. And most of them are first time authors. So they were like, okay, we'll do it just for you and for ourselves also, that we'll get some recognition out of it. And this was in the month of February. That was 2nd February. And on 8th of March, Women's Day, we released that book. And within 1 month, if I could do it, juggling everything that I already have at home, like my son and other responsibilities. So I thought, why is that guy not, going ahead and publishing it? Why is it taking so much time? And after that, it has become a ritual. The co-authors themselves come up, okay, Nilshree, it's been long now, let us do one anthology. So this year, they only started from December. March mein poetry hai, we have not explored poetry enough. So let us, think on those lines. But I said, there should be some theme to it, or there should be a uniformity, even
Yeah.
if we are writing. So as I talk about Hear Me Out also, there's one common character named Asha,
Hmm.
and we are majorly talking about mental health through each one of our stories. And
Hmm.
that Asha is either helping the characters in the story or is learning from them. So
Okay.
one common thing has to be there in
That is
our
very
anthology.
interesting,
That is our
actually. That's really
concept.
interesting theme of the anthology. That's really nice.
Yes. So that's how, but I do not charge for it. And there's a very simple rule wherein all the royalties that come, we use it for our marketing
Marketing.
and promotions only.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is nothing that I give out to them, and there is nothing that they pay to me. It's a mutual, consent that we have for that
You
thing.
built kind of a small community, a group of people who are actually have a same goal in life, and then you thrive on it.
Yes.
That's really nice, actually. That's cool.
Thank you.
Okay, and you also have your podcast and a magazine called Author Pod, right?
Yes.
So what exactly? How did you come up with that your podcast idea?
So podcast we started 6 months later. I launched the magazine in April 2022, and the
Okay.
whole idea behind coming up with the magazine was, see, I had tried promoting my books in other magazines, that lifestyle magazines or any other sort of platforms or Facebook communities for that matter, but it did not make that impact,
Hmm.
because in a lifestyle magazine or a community where there are all sort of people, not all of them are readers, or not majorly, most of them are not even concerned if you're author or what is your book about. So the whole idea was to bring readers and writers together
Yeah.
and give authors that space to, reach the target audience and get a better exposure.
Mhm.
So that is how, and we have kept it read to free for all, because again, the same thing that most people share it and they get a better exposure out of it. So if
Mm.
I tell you today that you have to pay some amount to read my magazine, even the biggest of names of magazines like Femina and Vogue are struggling to send sell the copies. So if I put a tag, who is going to buy it, right? It's a new brand. Who is going to trust it? That's the reason why, and it's going to be free for lifetime. That's what I've decided, because that helps us also reach more people as the contributors share it more and more.
Yes.
And
But I
in
love the
August,
magazine.
one of
I have also read, I have read many magazines, that kind of, a lot of people approach me, please give me a story. So we do share our story, but all those are, PDF files. You have to kind of, you're swiping through it. But your magazine is actually a flip through, it's like a book. You feel that you're flipping through the book on laptop or on some digital platform. So I really loved that, what you have did with it.
Yes. So that is our technical guy Akshay from our team who came up with that concept कि अगर मैगजीन करना है तो लोगों को वो पढ़ने का फील भी वैसा आना चाहिए.
Actually,
If we are not giving them a paper copy in hand, at least page turn करने वाला तो feel आए.
सही बात
So
है.
that is his thought process. Yes. And one of our authors who was a part of author interview in our debut editions came up with the idea that, okay, this is fine, but not everybody will like to read the whole magazine. So I want a platform dedicated where I want to talk about my book, the writing process and all. So for that, I was introduced at a platform through a mutual friend who interviewed me at her podcast. And then I asked her how she learned, and she did it on her own. She learned everything, right, from recording and everything. So I also joined those classes. I took my sweet time of 3 months to get acquainted with all the technical stuff. And then we announced podcast in August. We ran it successfully for 1 year, and recently I've given the handover to and we have added another team member for podcast, especially for hosting the podcast, because it becomes too much for me to handle everything and
Actually.
takes a toll on my health. So yeah.
Yeah, I understand that because even I'm doing it single-handedly at the moment, but editing videos
Yes.
and then making graphics. I also created my
Oh,
own logo. I created my logo with AI and it's really beautiful. So all these things, but you have to do on your own. It kind of sometimes takes a toll on your mind. So that does happens.
it does.
Okay, do you ever get writer's block?
No. So the reason I have not ever got a writer's block is because it's not a task for me. I never took, or I never set a deadline कि चलो आज मुझे इतना ही करना है. However, yes, I am a part of many writing challenges, but then they are not very strict. I make sure, because then it becomes very overwhelming कि इतने दिन में इतना ही करना है, and इसी topic पे लिखना है.
Huh.
So that is the reason why I go with a very flexible kind of writing challenges which do not restrict my creativity. And the other thing is, I do not write that much कि मुझे writer block मिल आ जाए. एक महीने में 60,000 word has never happened to me.
Okay.
So in fact, it's the reverse for me. I keep on looking for alone time कि चलो अब सब चले गए मैं लिखना शुरू करती हूँ. That's what happens in my case.
So yeah, that's really nice. Okay, Nilashree, anything you want to share with our audience?
I would request audiences to not to look down self-published or new authors. Give them a fair chance. It's not. Yes, I agree that classic books and by legendary authors, they are going to be there forever. But the coming generations would may call the new authors, like the authors that are new now, the coming generations would call them classics and legendary. And it can happen only if we pass that on. So please give a fair chance to all the indie as well as newly published authors and keep reading. That's what I would like to request.
Yeah, that's a really nice message to everyone. So, Nilashree, we will end this session over here and we will go to our Insta live, है ना, at 9:30 sharp. Yeah, it's